All right, how's it going? So today I got my new to me 2012 Mazda 6 Mazda 6S, 6-cylinder, 3.7 liter. It's got 116,000 miles on it, and previous owner has never done the transmission fluid. Mazda says it's a lifetime transmission fluid, and never never needs to be changed. Their definition of lifetime and mine are probably different, so I do want to change it. There's not a lot of info or videos out there on this. I mean, there is some, but didn't really find the one for this exact car, so I figured I'd make a video of it to help anybody else out that's got this same model. So just drove it, got it home. It's warmed up. I've attempted to get it up off the ground some. It's got to be level. So I got a slanted garage floor here, so I got ramps in the back and I got jack stands under the front in an attempt to get it fairly level. I don't know if I throw a level on the rockers. It's pretty level as it sits now, so I feel pretty good about that. And I need to get it up in the air because there's a drain plug underneath. So got my trusty Haynes, which is telling me that according to this, we have a AY6A-EL 6-speed automatic transaxle. And so I'm following the procedure in Haynes for changing the fluid on that particular transmission. So tell you how this is supposed to go, and then we'll see if it actually goes that way. But so we have it jacked up, the engine's warm, fluid's all nice and warm. What they're saying is that I need to take off this air box in order to access this drain plug. Or sorry, this is the fill plug. So this guy right here. Kind of hard to see. There it is. Sorry. Right there. So T55 Torx bit fill port right there. As you can see, I've already sprayed it with PB Blaster. I did a quick check and it seems to be seized in there pretty good. So before I do anything, the first thing I want to do is make sure I can get that out. Because if I get the bottom one out and drain the fluid, and then I can't get the top one out to refill, I'm screwed. So no sense in going forward with this job unless I can get that out first. So we're going to try to get that loosened up first, and if that works, then we'll go ahead with the rest of it. So I was able to get that plug out. It was pretty tight. Pretty tight. Probably can't see it, but there's actually wires down inside of there. I think I read something about the TCM, the module being internal to this particular transmission. Kind of cool. But yeah, there's definitely electronics inside of there in the oil bath. But yeah, that T55 Torx, it's a pretty rugged size, so that thing is torqued on there pretty tight, but there was no risk to stripping it out. It came out eventually, which is good. And if you come under here, this is the drain plug. It's actually two pieces. So the outer one is the inner one is the drain plug, and then the outer one is actually a tube, and the tube goes up there, and the level of the fluid is supposed to be even with the top of the tube, so any excess fluid will drip out the tube through that plug, and that's how they control the level of the fluid in the transaxle versus you know, trying to top it off from the top while looking at a dipstick. So the trick is that it has to be running when you're doing that. Right now, the fluid, I believe, is way over the top of that tube. According to Haynes, all the fluid backflows out of the torque converter, and so there's actually a lot more fluid in there right now than would be when the torque converter is spinning and the pumps filled it up. I'm no transmission expert, but I believe that's how it works. Either way, what I do know is it's got to be checked while it's running. So, but to drain it, I believe I can drain it while it's not running, and that will dump out a lot more fluid. I think about 6 quarts should come out, but I'll have a few pans ready just in case. So yeah, let's hope that actually comes out of there. So the fluid for this transaxle is 6-speed Mazda genuine JWS 3309 type T4, I guess you'd say. So there's a few different options out there, but I opted to go for the genuine Mazda. At the dealer, it's about 11 bucks a quart, so not exactly cheap, but so I picked up 6 of these. Hopefully that's enough. We'll find out. If not, I'll be driving the truck to work tomorrow. Alright, so I just pulled the little plug. It's got an O-ring on there that they say I should replace. Didn't think of that. Should have bought some. So I'll be reusing that, but oh, excuse you. So yeah, this fluid is pretty black. I'm not it's got a little red tint to it, but it's pretty dark. So lifetime fluid, yeah, right. So yeah, obviously there was some that was coming out when I'm running it, and once I set the level, none should come out when I pull this plug, or it should only drip a little. But like I said, it's higher than the tube right now because the torque converter is not pumped up. So a bunch came out. So this guy is a T40 Torx. So now I'm going to need a massive Allen wrench. I don't know what size this is yet, but I'll figure it out in a second, and then pull this tube out, and then the real flood's going to start. So we'll do that next. Okay, so just for a sanity check, I wanted to see how much oil came out. It's kind of weird that Haynes says to put 6 quarts back in, because I took everything I got out and put it in my oil extractor to measure, and coming up with about 3.5 quarts. So, which is about half of the capacity of the transmission according to Haynes. So not exactly sure what the deal is there, but I don't think I'm going to put 6 back in. I think I'll start with 4 or 5, and because some of it's obviously going to get wasted, but yeah, maybe I will put a 6, because some of it will mix with the old oil still in there, and can't hurt to mix in some new. The reason I say that is because this stuff is really black. I haven't looked at the color of the new stuff yet, but man, it's black. So let's check that real quick. Yeah, red. So this stuff is pretty dirty or broken down. Some would say I'm asking for trouble changing it this late in the mileage. A lot of people say leave it alone if you've let it go this far, because you could introduce more problems. But man, I'm gonna roll the dice. I don't like black old fluid. We'll see. Maybe I'll post a video later on of the thing slipping like crazy once I put the new stuff in, but we'll find out. So let that drip a little more, and then we're going to put that tube back in and the plug back in. And I am going to attempt to fill this without removing this air box with a long funnel, because it just seems silly to me to have to take that off. And since I got to run the engine while I'm checking the level, I would need to still keep this attached to keep the MAF sensor wired up and move this whole air box over here, but keep it attached to the throttle body. Just don't understand why they would want me to do that when I can fill it with a nice funnel right there. And I can get my hands in there to put the plug back, so I'm going to take a shortcut. So let's see what happens. Alright, so we put the plug back in, the tube and the plug. The tube permanently, the plug temporarily. So the little plug, there's a little inch-pound torque requirement for that, but I mean, you just do that by feel. But they do say 39 foot-pounds on the Allen wrench tube. So got my torque wrench and 39 foot-pounds on that. And here, you can see I got my funnel down in there. I think I can fill it from here, I hope. So I think I'm going to put all 6 quarts in, like they say, and then fire up the engine, and we're going to leave it in park for a few minutes and maybe shuffle through the gears a little bit, drive, reverse, and such, with my foot on the brake, of course. And then we'll go to put the take the plug out below and see what drips out. Alright, so I got scared and only put 5 in. Knowing I took 3.5 out, I don't know about putting 6 back in there. Just seems a little crazy to me, but so I put 5 back in, so I know I'm most likely 1.5 quarts over. So it's running right now, mixing up all that fluid, diluting the old stuff with the new stuff, hopefully, I think. And so they say let it run for a few minutes and then crack the plug and let it level out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack that plug and then measure how much comes back out, and hopefully it's somewhere near 1.5 quarts. Otherwise, I did something wrong, or the fluid was severely low before. But we'll find out. So be careful when you're under here, because that exhaust is really hot. Looks a little redder. Get that black mixed in with it though. Like I said, really just diluting the old stuff with the new stuff. So, supposed to let this go until it just drips. I would assume it'll drip for a while because sure everything's splashing around in there a little bit. But alright, so theoretically that should be at the right level now. They do say to go take it for a drive, shift through the gears, and then come back and check it again, but obviously you'd have to be up on the stands again to get under here and level the car out and then check it, and then if it's not dripping, you gotta add a little more. So I guess I should probably do that. But I'd say this is good right now. Put that plug back in, tighten it up, and we'll take it for a drive. Alright, so I put the rest of the oil I just drained out in there. Remember we were at 3.5. We're now sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the math checks out. I put a quart and a half extra in. I got a quart and a half extra back out, so that's good. It means my tranny wasn't leaking, and I feel good that I put in the same amount of oil back into the tranny. So I think we're good. Go take her for a spin, see if it shifts any better. It wasn't really having any problems shifting to begin with, but I'll at least feel better now. Alright, so I just took it for a drive around the street, took it up the road, seems to shift fine, nothing different, so I think we're good. Job was pretty easy, I think. I'd give it a 2 on the difficulty scale, but yeah, seems like something that you might want to do for the Mazda 6, even though they say it's lifetime. Because that fluid was pretty dark, and it's a lot more red now. Maybe this might be it. I might do this process again in 20,000 miles or so, freshen it up a little more. But yeah, and like I said, Haynes tells you to move that air box, but I did it just fine without removing that, so that makes it even more simple. And yeah, just make sure. The hardest part probably I'd say is getting the car level and lifted up on all 4 corners. It's a little bit hairy. However you decide to do that, you got to be careful. But yeah, that's it. And that's I'm no expert on this, but I think that's the right process, and hopefully it helped you out. All right, thanks, bye.